our BCR field trip got canceled to Gettysburg, so me and a couple friends decided to go ourselves, and we're going to be talking about the Confederate monuments and how it's bad for the black civil rights. I'm going to be talking about the Virginia Monument.
I'll be talking about the Mississippi Monument, and my boy Sled behind the camera will be talking about the North Carolina Monument. We'll see you there.
All right, here behind us is Will's house, and Abraham Lincoln stayed in this house the night before he gave the Gettysburg Address. And if you come over here, there's actually a statue of Abe. And if you look around, we're in like just the town of Gettysburg. Just stopped here. And let's get to the monuments. All right, we've made it to our first monument, North Carolina, and we have like this concrete plaque thing explaining what it is, and it says, North Carolina, to the eternal glory of the North Carolina soldiers who on this battlefield displayed heroism, unsurpassed sacrificing all in support of their cause. Their valorous deeds will be enshrined in the hearts of men long after these transient memorials have crumbled into dust. 32 North Carolina regiments were in action at Gettysburg, July 1863. One Confederate soldier in every 4 who fell here was a North Carolinian. And if you follow me, here is the actual monument. And sorry, this is the back of it. But if we come around to the front, you will see soldiers fighting. It looks like they're doing everything they can, pointing out to the battlefield where they're attacking.
Holding a flag. Looks to be the flag right up there.
They're holding a flag. And then if you turn around us, this is where they're attacking. All right, here's how the North Carolina Monument at Gettysburg relates to our class for Black Civil Rights. So the North Carolina Monument is a statue that honors soldiers from North Carolina who fought for the Confederate Army during the Civil War. It was built in 1929 and shows 4 soldiers charging into battle. These soldiers were fighting for the South, which wanted to leave the United States and keep slavery legal. So I came up with 4 reasons why people think it's bad for Black civil rights and how it relates to our class. So the first one is it honors the Confederacy. The soldiers on this monument were fighting for a side that wanted to keep slavery. Honoring them can feel like supporting that cause, which is harmful to the memory of people fighting who were enslaved and to those still fighting for equality today. Next, it only tells one side of the story. The monument talks about Confederate soldiers but doesn't mention slavery or the people who suffered because of it. Next reason, it was built during a racist time. The statue was put up during the Jim Crow era when black people were being treated unfairly and denied basic rights in the South. Monuments like this were often built to remind people who was in power, not just to honor history. And lastly, it can make public spaces feel unwelcoming. For many Black Americans, seeing this statue that honors people who fought to keep them enslaved can feel like a slap in the face. It can make a place like Gettysburg, which is supposed to teach them about freedom and sacrifice, feel like it's ignoring Black history. Let's go to the next monument.
Something special.
What a beautiful day to be alive.
All right,
so as you can see, this is the first monument that was in Gettysburg. It is the Virginia Memorial. On the top of the horse, you see General Robert E. Lee. He is a Confederate leader, and with all his Confederate troops in front, they fought to preserve slavery. So that was honestly kind of a big deal. As you can read the sign, the group represents various types who left civil occupations to join the Confederate Army, left to right. A personal man, a mechanic, an artist, a boy, a business, a man, a farmer, a youth. This was dedicated June 6, 1917, and it was sculpted by F.W. Severs. So, honestly, the main point of this is to show it is like the Victory Monument, and it is themed about several Union monuments. And it is the biggest here for a reason because many say it's the most important. It stands near the spot where Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, so right around here. And as you can see, it's looking onto the battlefield once again.
This is like, I mean, Tyler said it's the most important, it's the biggest monument. There's a lot of people here, a lot of cars, whole tour. Like everyone's comes to Gettysburg like to see the monuments. This is the one they want to see.
You good? So the Virginia Monument, and this is why some people view it as bad for the black civil rights. So the first thing is glorification of the Confederacy. The monument honors those who fought for the Confederate States of America, which succeeded from the Union largely to preserve the institution of slavery for many. This represents an endorsement or romanticism of the regimen that fought to uphold white supremacy. The second reason is symbol of white supremacy. Confederate monuments like the Virginia Monument have long been used as symbols of resistance to civil rights. Many were erected during the Jim Crow era and the Civil Rights Movement, not just to honor history, but to assert white dominance. The third reason is exclusionary history. These monuments often present a sanitized or one-sided version of history that omits the voices and experience of enslaved black people. They can perpetuate the lost cause myth, which false portrays the Confederate cause as noble and slavery as a minor issue. The last reason is public space and trauma. For Black Americans, having monuments that honor Confederate leaders in prominent public spaces can be a constant reminder of oppression and racial injustice. It can send a message, and those who fought to keep them enslaved are still being honored.
All right, behind me is a trail that leads to Spangler's house.
I'm not quite sure why they call it a house, because it actually is a hospital. This was beneficial for all the people fighting in the war. Everyone would have to come here. Battle wounds.
Confederates.
Yeah.
And it treated, I think it was around 1,900 Confederates during the war.
So this place was busy. So here we have the Mississippi State Monument. This was dedicated October 9th, 1973 to Barksdale's Charge, what we have over here. So, come with me. The monument features a dramatic bronze sculpture of two Confederate soldiers in action. One soldier is shown kneeling and firing his rifle, while the other is standing and holding a Confederate battle flag. The figures are dramatic, emphasizing courage, struggle, and sacrifice. So the historical context. Around 4,900 Mississippi soldiers fought at Gettysburg, primarily in Barksdale's and Davis bridges. Mississippi troops played a significant role in the attack on the Peach Orchard, the assault on the Cemetery Ridge, particularly during Pickett's charge. These units suffered heavy casualties in their contribution to commemorate with this monument. So now I'm going to be talking about how this monument connects to BCR class and how it was bad for African Americans. So the Confederacy fought to break away from the U.S. in order to keep slavery. By honoring Confederate soldiers without talking about slavery, this monument makes it seem like they were heroes, when they were actually fighting to keep black people enslaved. It ignores black suffering and freedom. This monument says nothing about enslaved people, even though slavery was the main reason for the war that happened. It also doesn't mention the black soldiers who fought for the Union and for freedom. That leaves out an important part of history. Built during the civil rights struggle, The monument was put up in 1973, just a few years after the major civil rights movement of the 1960s. At the time, some people were trying to push back against progress for Black Americans. Building a Confederate monument they then could be seen as a way to support racism or send a message against equality. To many Black Americans, this monument doesn't represent Southern pride. It represents a time when people were treated as property. Seeing it as a place like Gettysburg, which should be about justice and unity, can feel disrespectful and painful.
Something here. I want to say that this monument is ironic to the Black Civil Rights Movement, only because it glorifies the struggle that the Southern rebels went through. But it it's definitely ironic to the Black Civil Rights Movement because they were fighting against the rights of African Americans while they suffered. So I just thought I'd add that as far as the Black Civil Rights Movement goes.
Right straight ahead is James Warfield's farm. He was a free black man, and after just a small battle, like there were some wounded men, but no one died. His property obtained a lot of damage and cost him a lot of money. And then, if we look straight out here into this field, this was probably one of the larger battles here. Um, Around 15,000 soldiers were killed right in front of here, and that's about it.
So here we're at the Underground Railroad station. At the grist mill near the nearby Rock Creek, James McAllister and his family provided temporary shelter to hundreds of fugitive slaves. Now in the ruin, it was part of one of the earliest UGRR networks through which the freedom seekers passed on their way to the north. It was the site of the significant gathering of abolitionists on July 4th, 1836, that led to the formation of the Adams Country Anti-Slavery Society, an early and influential abolitionist organization.
All right, we're stopping at Lincoln's Diner. Pretty historic place here. Probably one of the best food places in Gettysburg, so let's go review it.
The first toast, I'll again, and then add 2 eggs total. I'm going to do the first toast again, and then also do the top burger. Yes. You know. There's the toast. So I got the vice president's meal, French toast, scrambled eggs, bacon, ham, and sausage. I got the president's breakfast for Abe Lincoln, and chocolate chip pancakes, bacon, sausage, ham, and eggs. I got the French toast a la Lincoln, I think. French toast, eggs, and meat. I just got 3 chocolate chip pancakes. We got the French toast here. We got the Lincoln top hat burger with a little top hat. Got some hot sticks and some French fries. Sure, let's get to eating.
Thank you, Lincoln Diner, for that good meal. We all enjoyed it.